we've fully cooperated over the last year.
Has he asked for an
with the
interview
Mueller
with you
investigation? He has not, although we've provided any and all information, and we'll continue to do that.
Then you'd be willing to sit with him if he were to ask?
I would be more than willing to continue to provide any and all support in that, and we have outside counsel that will advise me accordingly.
Vice President Mike Pence speaking about the special counsel's ongoing Russia investigation. His remarks come amid a lengthy back and forth between President Trump's legal team and Robert Mueller's office over whether the president should sit down for an interview with Mueller. Let's bring in Judge Andrew Napolitano, Fox News senior judicial analyst. Judge, good morning and good to see you.
Good morning, Sandra.
So what we just saw from Vice President Mike Pence was seen as sort of him volunteering to sit down for an interview with Robert Mueller. I guess you could kind of listen to those words over and over and decide whether or not that was what happened there.
I thought it was a little unusual. I mean, those of us who follow this know that the vice president does have his own outside legal counsel, just as the president has Rudy Giuliani and a team of lawyers, and that they have voluntarily surrendered documents to Bob Mueller. But it is unusual for a person who has not been asked to meet with prosecutors and FBI agents to say, hey, I'm here if you want me. And by the way, when you call me in, I'm going to say I was there and nothing happened. The government is a little suspicious of people that volunteer that kind of information.
So what does it tell you that he did that?
It does tell me that he doesn't think it's a witch hunt, that he thinks it's a legitimate investigation, or he wouldn't be cooperating with it. It also tells me that he's about the staunchest supporter that the president has, and he basically wants to go there and say, I was there and I didn't see anything wrong. But it is dangerous for anybody to volunteer when they're not asked to go to speak to federal prosecutors. They are very suspicious of this kind of volunteerism.
It did sound very similar to what the president originally said. He said, sure, I'd be willing to sit down for an interview with Mueller, you know, pending my lawyer's advice on that.
I think that the president's lawyer, who comes on Fox all the time to basically recount his version of the negotiations with Bob Mueller, I speak of former Mayor Giuliani, of course, has given the president the advice that this is a dangerous environment for you. But if we can get some conditions out of Mueller, if we can learn more about his case. See, when you negotiate with someone, you learn their thinking. I believe that that's what Rudy Giuliani is attempting to accomplish. Our own Pete Hegseth asked the president just the other day when they were in
the rally, yeah.
Correct. Are you ruling out discussing with Mueller anything about obstruction of justice? The president wouldn't answer the question. Now, that may mean they haven't decided it yet, or it may mean that Rudy hasn't told the president yet that Rudy's decided that he doesn't want him to talk about obstruction. We don't know. The point is, it's dangerous for the president, who doesn't use an economy of words, to sit down in an environment where one slip-up or contradiction of something you already said can result in a charge of perjury.
Something else I think you said was very interesting was that this can actually be a red flag to the feds. If you have someone like the vice president come forward and sort of volunteer and say, yes, I'll sit down.
I'm smiling because in my prior life, I worked with this mentality of prosecutors and investigators. And when someone says, hey, let me come and talk to you, or put me before the grand jury, they are suspicious of it, even if that person is a lawyer who happens to be the vice president of the United States.
So could this, like you've discussed with the president, be a trap, a perjury trap for Vice President Pence?
If you were to ask me, I would say the potential for that is great and grave, and you should stay away from this environment.
Is it possible at this point, do you think it is possible that, based on what you just heard from the vice president, that he could sit in that hot seat before the president would?
No. I don't think that that Mueller's team are interested in hearing him say, I was there and nothing happened. They're interested in hearing the president's version of these events. They have I think they have nearly everything else they need. If you read the transcript of the interview with George Papadopoulos, who was one of their witnesses, they have everything they need.
Very interesting. We'll see where it all goes. Judge,
Okay.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Pleasure.